Welcome back to Kingdom Talk channel. All right, we are in session 18, chapter 18 is 2022. I'm Reverend Shirley Young, and we are in the book of Revelation. Let's get started. All right, so this book is going to be bringing up the subject of medication, pharmacy, sorcery, witchcraft, and we're going to find out what that is all about as we go forward. Don't forget to subscribe, like the videos. Revelation 18, verses 1 through 3. After these things, I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. As usual, we're going to read it and we'll come back and talk about it. This is the Apostle John, who is still getting the vision that he started out in chapter 1. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and has become the habitation of devil, and the whole of every foul spirit and cage and every unclean, hateful bird. Verse 3, and John hears the angel say, For all the nations have drunk of the wine and of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her. And the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacy. All right, going back to the top, John says he sees another angel after these things. After what things? After what happened in chapter 17. Remember, the city was set on fire by the kings of the earth that God has put in their heart to turn against that great city, and they burned it down. So John says after this, he sees an angel come down, illuminates the earth, and he announces that Babylon the Great is fallen. It is fallen, and it is full of devils and foul spirits, and all the nations are now inclusive in fornication with this city. And the kings of the earth are all committing fornication along with the merchants of the earth. They're waxing rich. All right, the merchants being the wholesalers, dealers, those who are doing trades, brokers, importer, exporters, and so forth. The sellers, they are selling this merchandise and they're waxing rich. Nothing wrong with waxing rich. The problem with them is they are waxing rich through wrongdoing, taking advantage of people, things that are harming people. And we're going to see what they really are going to be doing as we go along. So hang in there with me. We can even take a look at Babylon. Revelation 18, 4 through 17. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, Come out of her, my people, that you be not partakers of her sin, that you receive not of her plagues. Now he's telling them to come out. Now he is not talking about the people at that time, because by this time the church is gone and all those who accepted Jesus are gone. Those who come after the church, there's other raptures, are gone. We've seen that already. But he is warning us, don't participate in things to make money and sin against God. If you make ill-gotten gains, it's not going to be pleasing to God. All right, verse 5, for her sin has reached to heaven. You see the sin. And God has remembered her iniquities. We remember this word iniquities, right? Satan was accused of iniquities, right? He was in heaven, knew God, knew heaven was real, knew everything, and still did it. So they are not unaware, but they're doing it anyway. He says that her iniquity has reached. So this city knows there's a real God and just continues. Verse 6, reward her even as she reward you. Double unto her, double according to her works. In the cup which she has filled, fill to her double. Verse 7, how much she has glorified herself, talking about the city, and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give her. For she said in her heart, I sit a queen, I am no widow, and I shall see no sorrow. Verse 8, therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire. For strong is the Lord God who judges her. Now these kings have turned and set her on fire, but as God has set forth this judgment. Verse 9, and the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her when they see the smoke of her burning. They're going to stand afar off, verse 10, for fear of her torment, saying, alas, alas, this great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. So let's pause for a minute and talk about this great city called Babylon. You know, what is it? We have so many different guesses. People say, some people think it's Rome, Babylon itself revived. The Bible doesn't really tell us exactly. It does refer to the great city one time at Jerusalem as the great city. So I can understand how that Is a possibility there. But it doesn't say for sure. And then, of course, Babylon itself could be revived because they're going to be uniting all the nations. They're going to be coming together, and it could be talking about like a one world order. So it could be a Babylonian empire revived. We know Saddam Hussein, he tried this, didn't work, ended up dead. But it could be that. Okay, this is the end times, and the church is gone, and maybe they have brought it back to life again. But one thing we do know for sure, it's going to be bad. Whoever's in charge of it, and the city's going to be bad and sinning against God, and everybody is going to be participating that's left behind in this evil. All right, and it goes on to say in the verse 10, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. Verse 11, and the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buy merchandise anymore. Again, who are these merchants? They are the wholesalers, the dealers, those who are doing trade, brokers, importing, exporting, just sellers, right, of merchandise. Verse 12 tells us what they're selling. Verse 12, the merchandise of gold, silver, jewelry and stuff, right? Precious stones, pearls, fine linen, purples, silks, scarlets, all fine wood, all manner of vessels of ivory, all manner of vessels of most precious woods, brass and iron and marble. Verse 13, cinnamons, odors, ointments, frankincense, wines, oils, fine flowers, wheats, beasts, sheep, horses, chariots, and this is slaves are listed here, and souls of men. Interesting. We're going to see why it probably says something about souls of men here. Verse 14, and the fruits that thy soul lusteth after are departed from thee, and all things which were dainty and goodly are departed from thee, and thou shalt find them no more at all. No wonder they are bewailing and lamented. Their riches are fallen apart. Verse 18, chapter 18, verses 15 through 20. The merchants of these things which were made rich by her shall stand afar off for fear of torment, wailing and just weeping and just wailing. Verse 16, saying, alas, alas, that great city that was clothed in fine linen and purple and scarlet and decked in gold and precious stones and pearls. Verse 17, for in 1 hour, just 60 minutes, so great riches have come to nothing, to naught, it says. And every shipmaster and all the companies and ships and sailors and as much as trade by sea stood afar off. They're not trying to go near to Perna city. Verse 18, they cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, what city is like unto this great city? Verse 19, and of course there's internet and everything. Those are not actually close by, they can watch it from the internet. Verse 19, and they cast dust on their heads and cried, weeping and wailing, saying, alas, alas, that great city wherein were made rich all that had ships in the seas by reason of costliness, for in 1 hour is she made desolate. Verse 20, rejoice over her, O you heavens, and you holy apostles and prophets, for God has revenged you on her. They have taken out the prophets, the men and women of God, and now payment has come, and they are wailing. And they're not wailing because they're sorry. They're wailing because they have lost their riches and they are no longer in control. All right. And these are pictures of people, even today, when things go wrong on Wall Street, that people take pictures of how people wail and carry on. Revelation 18, 21 through 24. And a mighty angel took up a stone, like, this is John saying, a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and cast it into the sea, saying, thus with violence shall this city of Babylon be thrown down, and shall be found no more at all. Verse 22. And the voice of harpers and musicians and pipers and trumpeters shall be heard no more at all in thee. And no craftsman of whatsoever craft he be shall be found more in thee. And the sound of the millstone shall be heard no more in thee at all. Verse 23. And the light of the candle shall shine no more in thee. And the voice of bridegrooms and brides shall be heard no more in thee. And thy merchants, what? Your sellers, your dealers, your wholesalers, your tradesmen, your exporter, importers. He says, no, not going to be found in thee anymore. And for thy merchants were the great men of the earth. They were living large. They were the great men of the earth. Then it goes on to say, for by sorcery for all the nations to see. Sorcery? It says by sorcery, all the nation will deceive. Hold that thought. We're going to explain that next PowerPoint. And in her was found the blood of prophets and saints and all that was slain upon the earth. So they were responsible for just killing innocent people for no other reason than believing in God. All right, here we go. For thy merchants, thy sellers are tradesmen, your great men of the earth. For by sorcery all the nations deceive. How did they use sorcery to deceive the nations? Look over here at the definition for sorcery to your right. It says it's the word pharmakeia. All right, the word we get pharmacy. And they use it's also magical, sorcery, and witchcraft. So medications basically. Okay, you see that comes under the medication, pharmacy, sorcery, witchcraft. All of this comes in the same word. So they're going to be using this to the drugs pharmaceutical market to trick people. Once you get people on drugs, you can take advantage of them. All right. Medicine's not bad. Nobody wants to have to go to the dentist, right? With no medicine. Nobody wants to have surgery or wake up from surgery with no painkiller. So medicine itself is not bad, but they're going to be start using drugs as a way to line their pockets, not caring whether it's really good for the people, whether they really need it or not. Even today, there are things that people can do to heal themselves without medications, but they prescribe medications because they make money, and this is what they're going to be doing at end times, and they're going to be really just witchcraft in people's minds with it. And drugs can be, cause you to hallucinate, harm yourself, harm others. So this is a very dangerous practice they're going to be doing, and God is going to punish them because they're not going to care about the people, only lining their pockets. All right, check out this last PowerPoint we're going to look at here. I told you earlier that Daniel says, I believe it's Daniel chapter 7 says that the Antichrist himself is going to come out of the territory of the empire of Alexander the Great. So I'm going to look at that again just to see here is that area all from Greece going all the way down here past Jerusalem into Egypt. It comes back up here and you go past like Iran, Iraq, and Afghanistan, and further over. All this territory was Alexander the Great. All right, it doesn't go up to Rome, it just starts right here by Greece. So it says, out of some of this territory, the Antichrist is going to come. All right, he says that in Daniel, so we don't have to guess where he's coming from. And this up here is a map of Rome here. And Rome, of course, this was Greece was in, and Rome took over further up here and goes down and covers more territory. But let's take a look here at the orange. This was the empire of Babylon. All right, so we see same thing, Egypt, Israel, parts of Turkey, Iraq, and this is where Babylon used to be, and parts of Saudi Arabia and part of Iran. That was the Babylonian Empire. Is it going to resurrect and everything's ruling from that area, that territory? Could be. We don't know for sure. The only way to know for sure is to be left behind and be here, which I have no plans to do, and neither should you. We want to be gone out of the way whenever it happens. So whether they're going to be ruling from here in Babylon, or they can be ruling from Jerusalem, wherever it is, and this territory going to revive, we don't know for sure. But one thing we do know, all of the earth is going to be in cahoots, lining their pockets and being in agreement with the Antichrist and doing this evil against God until he decides to put a stop to it. All right, my brothers and sisters, be blessed until next time. I will see you for chapter 19, my kingly brothers and sisters.